Ian Foster breaks silence as All Blacks coaching vacuum deepens after Scott Robertson exit. The fallout from Scott Robertson's shock dismissal as All Blacks head coach continues to ripple through New Zealand rugby. And one of the most intriguing voices to weigh in is that of his predecessor, Ian Foster. Despite meeting the official criteria laid out by New Zealand Rugby, NZR, for the vacant role, Foster has made it clear that he does not expect to be contacted, nor does he believe a return to the All Blacks is realistic. Instead, the former head coach has offered a candid assessment of where the union is headed, who he expects to land the job, and how the next coaching cycle is likely to unfold in the lead-up to the 2027 Rugby World Cup. At 60 years old, Foster remains deeply connected to the game in New Zealand, even if his professional life has taken him offshore. Currently based in Japan, he is part of the coaching setup at Toyota Verblitz, working alongside former All Black Supremo, Sir Steve Hansen. Yet despite his experience, pedigree, and ongoing involvement at elite level, Foster appears resigned to the fact that NZR will look elsewhere. "I can't see it happening." Foster's position was revealed by broadcaster Martin Devlin on DSBN, following a private conversation between the two. When asked directly whether he thought New Zealand Rugby would reach out to him regarding the vacant head coach role, Foster's response was blunt. "No, I can't see it happening," he told Devlin. That short answer speaks volumes. While Foster has never publicly criticized the way his All Blacks tenure ended, it is widely accepted that the pressure he endured, particularly during the turbulent early years of his reign, left scars. The relentless scrutiny, public debate, and NZR's decision to open the door to alternatives before the 2023 Rugby World Cup all contributed to a sense that the relationship between coach and union had frayed beyond repair. Despite that, Devlin stressed that Foster harbors no bitterness toward the All Blacks themselves. "He does say it's all going to be okay," Devlin explained. And these are wise words from a guy who just loves New Zealand, loves the rugby, and loves the All Blacks. Jamie Joseph, the frontrunner. Perhaps most interesting is Foster's apparent clarity on who will replace Robertson. According to Devlin, Foster believes the decision has effectively already been made. "It's Jamie Joseph's job. I'm sure of it," Devlin said, relaying Foster's view. "Then it's either Tony Brown with him, or they chase an experienced coach to help for 18 months, and then probably go to Tony Brown after the World Cup." Joseph, currently head coach of Japan, has long been viewed as a strong candidate for the All Blacks role. A former All Blacks loose forward himself, he has built a reputation as an intelligent, adaptable coach capable of blending structure with flair. His work with Japan, most notably their historic performances at the 2019 Rugby World Cup, cemented his standing as one of the most respected coaches in the international game. The suggestion that Joseph would be paired with another senior figure before eventually handing over to Tony Brown points to a phased succession plan, rather than a long-term appointment from the outset. Tony Brown's complicated situation. Tony Brown's name has hovered around the All Blacks job for years, but his current commitments complicate matters. The former fly half is a key member of Rassie Erasmus Springboks coaching team, where he is responsible for the attack, and he remains under contract with South African Rugby until the end of the 2027 World Cup cycle. Brown has never hidden his ambition to coach the All Blacks one day, but he has been equally clear about honoring his existing deal. Erasmus recently addressed the situation, offering insight into Brown's mindset and the level of transparency between coach and employer. "Tony is signed with us until the end of 2027, and he has never hidden the fact that he wants to coach the All Blacks one day," Erasmus said. "We've had proper discussions about it, not just now, but a year and a half or 2 years ago, and I totally respect his opinion." Erasmus went on to praise Brown's integrity. He said, "I'm committed to 2027. I don't have an out clause, and I'm not even going to look at that now. I have huge respect for him for being honest." While Erasmus hopes to extend Brown's contract beyond the next World Cup, he also acknowledged the reality of elite sport. "If he gets an offer post-2027, I certainly won't be one of the guys who stands in his way." This has only fueled speculation that NZR may be playing a long game, installing a caretaker or transitional coaching setup before finally handing the reins to Brown once he becomes available. Silence from NZR raises eyebrows, what has drawn increasing criticism. However, is who hasn't been contacted by New Zealand Rugby. According to Devlin, neither John Mitchell nor Sir Steve Hansen, both of whom meet the stated criteria, have been approached, even informally, for input or guidance. Mitchell, who coached the All Blacks from 2001 to 2003, is currently the head coach of England's women's team, having recently recommitted to that role. Despite being ruled out of contention due to those commitments, Devlin revealed that Mitchell was never contacted by NZR at any stage. "He told me he hasn't been contacted at all," Devlin said. "And he's still pretty wounded by how he feels he was treated all those years ago." Mitchell's tenure with the All Blacks ended abruptly and controversially, and while more than 2 decades have passed, the scars evidently remain. Devlin was particularly critical of NZR's apparent unwillingness to even consult someone with Mitchell's experience. "Whatever you thought of John Mitchell in 2003, it's now 23 years later," he argued. "You can't judge someone today for what they were like back then. Everyone has a right to grow. Why not use every brain available?" The same logic, Devlin suggested, applies to figures like Hansen and Foster themselves. Both are among the most successful coaches in All Blacks history, yet neither appears to be involved in the current process. Why wouldn't you want to use those brains? Devlin asked, especially with Hansen and Foster. Why wouldn't you pick their brains? He pointed to the personal dynamics that existed under Robertson's tenure, suggesting that political considerations may have played a role. Obviously, Scott Robertson didn't want anything to do with those guys. There was a lot of personal politics going on. But Razor is gone now. Devlin added that if Jamie Joseph does take over, the logic for excluding Foster makes even less sense. Joseph has a long history with Ian Foster, so why wouldn't you get in touch? A small country, a narrow lens? At the heart of the criticism is a belief that New Zealand rugby is being too insular, too cautious, and too selective at a time when it can least afford to be. "We are too small a country not to open our minds," Devlin concluded. "If you're David Kirk, why aren't you talking to everyone? You need those opinions as much as you need feedback from the players." With the All Blacks facing a rebuild following Robertson's departure, the next appointment will shape not only the team's tactical direction, but also its cultural reset. Whether NZR chooses to embrace a collaborative, inclusive approach or continues down a narrower path remains to be seen. For now, one thing is clear. Ian Foster won't be waiting by the phone, even if his influence on the next chapter of All Blacks rugby may still be felt from afar.